Let me give you an illustration, especially for the young guys who want to maybe be more involved in the ministry. You're all familiar with Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, I'm sure. Yeah, the Terminator. Well, you know, he'll probably go down in history as the greatest bodybuilder who ever lived. There's a reason for it. He's European. And the European bodybuilders were all about being huge. They didn't care about definition or anything. All they cared about was being huge. And so what they did was they lifted huge amounts of weights. Deadlifting, power presses, bench. And so when Arnold Schwarzenegger came to California, he was a mountain of a man. Then what he did, when he learned the techniques of more definition in California, he began to take little weights and move them like this and make all this definition into this mountain of a man that he was. Now you say, what's that have to do with the Bible? I would say the Puritans and many of the men that we most admire down through history, a similar thing can be said about them and us. They were men, for example, they were men who read the entire Bible a lot. They didn't have internet access. They didn't have computer programs. A lot of them didn't even have concordances. If they were going to know where something was in the Bible, it's because they had read it so many times they knew exactly where it was. They could pull forth illustrations that were entirely biblical. God in pulling back from Hezekiah to test what was in his heart. They could find illustrations all in Scripture because they were so well versed in the full volume of Scripture. Now, young guys today who love the Lord and want to be used of Him, they don't do that. They read the book of Romans a million times. Or they read Ephesians. Or they do this. They know nothing of Malachi. Or what happened in 2 Chronicles. And so they're like the bodybuilders today who don't build this huge mass. They just get in the gym and immediately start lifting little weights to cut themselves, but there's no mass. It's the same way. I would really encourage you young men to make it a life practice of reading through the Bible every year. And a good thing to do is get you a notebook. I did this, and I was astounded the first time I did it. And just read. Read through Scripture, contemplate what you're reading, but just start in Genesis 1:1 and read. When you come to something you don't understand, write out the question. Genesis 3:15. You know, what does it mean that he struck him on the heel? Now, what's going to happen when you get through reading the entire Bible? You're going to have probably several notebooks of questions. Okay? But this is going to be the encouraging part. The next time you read through the Bible, you're going to be able to answer some of those questions with information you got from other places in the Bible. And new questions are going to pop up. And eventually, you're going to start using the Scriptures to answer your questions in the Scriptures. And it's really exciting. I did that as a new believer in the New Testament, and I'll never forget reading through the second time and looking at my questions in 1 Timothy and realizing I knew the answer because I had read it somewhere else. And it's a blessing. It really is.